Azure Power Lunch. Um, Happy Friday. And as you know, we record these calls and place our recordings on our YouTube channel. If you don't want to be recorded, you may want to drop off now. And with that, let's start with our topic of discussion, which is AKS Automatic. This is a new way to deploy AKS, and we are going to be talking about it today. Here is a quick agenda. We are going to be talking about what is in the AKS Automatic, what is AKS Automatic versus AKS Standard, and we have a quick demo. And of course, please feel free to ask questions if anytime. Okay. So first of all, as we know, that Kubernetes is one of the most powerful, most popular uh, orchestrator of container-based microservices. A number of our customers around the world are already using it. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of applications are deployed on it. It is also used by a number of first-party Microsoft services. It is not something that is a secret. Microsoft has talked about it in different um, discussions that we are, a number of our services are taking advantage of Kubernetes. With all being said, there are still challenges that remain when you're adopting um, Kubernetes. And those are, I mean, we are aware that too many options. So when you are deploying Kubernetes, you are running it on for to running it. You are run your applications on it. There are too many knobs that you can change, and that's where the first challenge is. Like you have, excuse me, you have developers these days who are not only responsible for running their application, but also they're responsible for kind of not only building their application, but running their application to some extent as well, where IT says, okay, this is your cluster, run your applications on it. How you make sure that you are, using the best practices, how you make sure that your cluster is secure and it's using all the recommended practices in regards to networking or resource deployment. And that's where the challenge becomes. So in the end, these developers who are focusing on their application, they have to also focus on learning AKS. Okay, and that's where um, AKS Automatic comes into picture. It is a managed Kubernetes experience which is production ready, uses the recommended practices that and safeguards and allow you to run your applications as quickly as possible in a sense that you don't have to spend time in tweaking and optimizing your AKS cluster. So this is so as I said, a number of our customers are using Kubernetes. Microsoft is using Kubernetes in our first party services. Based on those experience, we have created some recommended practices how to best run majority of your workload. It's kind of an 80-20 rule. For majority of your workloads, AKS Automatic Managed Experience is the best experience because it will minimize your operational overhead of running Kubernetes, and you will be able to take advantage of most of the recommended practices that we have learned working with our customer. Your cluster will be production ready. So as soon as the cluster is deployed, you can start putting your workloads on it. Okay. So that's the AKS Automatic, which is in public preview. This is, as I said, is another managed experience. So we have an AKS standard as well, which is the managed experience that you have for now, where you set up your AKS cluster, and then you can go ahead and tweak it as you want. So that's AKS standard. AKS Automatic is this new managed experience, which is kind of, you can call it an opinionated experience, where we are setting up a number of settings based on the recommended practices, the best practices, and safeguards. Okay, so that's that. Let's quickly talk about it. So this is, as I said, what is meant by production ready by default. It means that the certain optimal production settings are pre-configured. Okay, and then in regards to scaling, you don't have to worry about the auto scaling of nodes because it relies on CADA and autoscaler to automatically scale your node both vertically and horizontally. And at the same time, it packs your pods, nodes with, basically the way it runs pod to maximum efficiency. You don't have to worry about, okay, how I'm going to run pod and what things are going to be where because it takes care of that. Okay. And the security configuration is hardened based on the recommended practices. So once again, you don't have to um, worry about it. Of course, you can tweak certain things. And what we're going to do is in this comparison here, we're going to look at what's in AKS standard and what's in AKS automatic. Just keep in mind anything that you see pre-configured, you cannot change. That is pre-configured. If you don't like it, go with AKS standard. Okay. Anything that is default that is there, that is will be there, but you can change it. And anything that is optional, it's not there, but you can take advantage of it. Got it? So let's quickly go through it. In the case of application deployment, not much that is different. Both supports automated deployments, and you can take advantage of that. You can create your pipeline using GitHub Actions, so that's there as well. So that's not much different in this particular scenario. Of course, for monitoring and logging, the default is managed Prometheus. In the case of AKS standard, that is optional. Folks, sorry. First of all, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And please feel free to ask any questions. Sorry, there was a spam call, and I just wanted to make sure that I'm still audible. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. And let's talk about the node management, scaling, and cluster operation. That's where you will see some clear differences. For example, first of all, um, in regards to the AKS automatic node management and node pools are managed through node auto provisioning. This is in public preview. It relies on Carpenter open source to manage the nodes and the horizontal pod autoscaler along with CADA. It's pre-configured. So basically, your nodes vertical scaling and horizontal scaling are controlled by AKS automatic, and that's you cannot change. As I said, anything that is pre-configured, you cannot change. Of course, your cluster size is a standard tier cluster which can have up to 5,000 nodes. And if you deploy an AKS standard cluster, Ubuntu is the default OS. Not anymore. In the case of AKS automatic, it's pre-configured with Azure Linux. If you want to know about Azure Linux, it's Microsoft distribution of Linux we have been using internally for quite a while. Now we are making it available as a part of different services, and one of those is AKS Automatic. And in that, once again, since it's pre-configured, you cannot change. That's what we are using. If we move further, for example, any of the um, upgrades that will happen automatically. Just keep in mind, it's smart enough to detect that if you are doing an upgrade and there are breaking changes, it will stop the upgrade automatically, detect it and stop it. And you can set up planned maintenance schedule, which was optional in AKS. It's a default option in AKS Automatic. Okay. Any questions, folks? Let's go through it a little bit more. And there are major kind of things to see in networking. For example, for networking, the it uses CNI overlay powered by Cilium. So that's by default. And once again, it's pre-configured. You cannot change it. That's there for you. In regards to the application routing add-on, it used the manage nginx. And once again, that is a pre-configured offering. If you will see optional, you can use for as a service mesh, you can use Istio, Azure Istio managed add-on for your ingress gateway as well. That is a option for you. In regards to egress, it uses a managed NAT gateway for any egress from AKS. Okay, that is also pre-configured, and that you cannot change. So that's that. So just want to give you an idea, like a number of things that are done that are based on what we have learned from other customers and what we have learned from our own deployment of Kubernetes that we have done for our first party services. So let's take a look at a quick demo. What is the creation experience, and then we will take a look at a cluster itself and go from there. Okay. So first of all, let's go in here, and if I type in AKS, I will say Kubernetes services. It shows me I've already have a service created. If I want to create it, as you can see, there are two options. You have an automatic Kubernetes cluster. So these are managed Kubernetes. There are two offerings. One is Kubernetes cluster, which is standard offering, and then in preview you have the Kubernetes automatic Kubernetes cluster offering. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this subscription, and look what happens. It you have to set up. So this is since it's in preview, you have to set up these settings for your resource for your subscription. Some of these are preview feature, and some of these are features that you have to enable on your subscription. You can click on it, and it will enable these feature. Uh, and what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do it. I already have enabled it on an existing, so I'm going to just pick up a resource group and go from there. And I'm going to South Central US. This is my auto upgrade schedule. I can change it. And do you realize how few things it is asking? If we go to the creation experience of AKS standard, you will see it ask for a lot of things. Okay, what's your network, this, that, how few things it is asking. And in regards to, um, for example, it doesn't ask about identity. So let me just go back here for this screen 1 minute. In terms of, I think I may have missed one screen. Yes, sorry. I think I may have not gone over this screen. So let me just quickly go over it. Since we are talking about option, if you may have created the AKS standard cluster, it asks about identity and how do you want to set up RBAC. Just look here, Azure RBAC for Kubernetes authorization that is pre-configured. So that is in regards to API server. Communicate with the API server. API server run on master nodes which are owned by Microsoft. The communication automatically happens on, uh, privately. So you don't have to set up any private link. It happens, with through virtual network integration. So you don't have to do anything. That is once again pre-configured. In regards to the application security, it rely on workload identity with Microsoft Entra workload ID. Okay, so that's that. And you have the OpenID cluster issuer. So basically, all of those things where you have to do selections, not anymore. Okay. and it allows you to do deployment safeguard, basically to enforce any type of Kubernetes best practices through Azure policy. So if you have certain things that you want to do onto your deployment safeguard for your cluster, it allows you to do that. And also, it automatically cleans um, unused images which are have vulnerability, detected vulnerability, and it will remove it automatically. So all of that is covered. Sorry, I just realized I skipped through that slide, so just want to mention it. So these are all pre-configured security settings. You don't have to worry about these when you are setting up. And that's why, look at this, how few the options are. You know, if you go through another a standard deployment, there are so many options and you have to pick. That's kind of simplify that. You see, and it tells you that manages these elements for your network security. Azure CNI powered by Celium. Sorry, question. Okay. And node provisioning and scaling, that's taken care of. Scaling like CADA, HPA, and VPA. So both vertical and horizontal scaling are taken care of by the AKS Automatic and version upgrades, all of that. Okay. So let's go on to the monitoring screen. Once again, here, your container logs ask you what is the cost preset, cost optimized. So it basically allow you to select how often you want to log, because more log data you do, it's going to increase your cost. So it kind of once again simplifies that. What is your monitor workspace, all of that, and that's pretty much it. Once you do a review and create, it will start creating your cluster. Got it? So with that, so let's go in and let's take a look at it. Go ahead, please. Any question? So let's take a look at the cluster itself. Let me go to home so I can, uh, yes, that's the cluster. And one interesting thing is I'm going to go through, normally in Kubernetes resources, you see node pools. There are no node pools here. As I said, now node management is completely taken over by AKS Automatic. It will scale up, scale down, both vertically and horizontally as the load increases on the system or decreases. That's taken care of that. Okay. In regards to, yes, you will see namespaces, you will see what are the different workloads that are running on your system. Um, that's there for you. And what are the services and including all these things are there. But at the same time, a number of settings which are driven um, by your which are kind of a no longer you have to worry about it. They are now moved on automatically through and handled by the smarts of the systems, like CADA, like vertical, uh, scaler, like horizontal pod, autoscaler, vertical pod, autoscaler, all of that. So these are all taken care of the by the system now. Got it? So, and once again, as I said, that's an 80-20 rule. You have um, in most of the application that should be sufficient, but there may be scenarios, there may be customers who are very well versed with Kubernetes and they want to do Kubernetes, they want to set up in their own way to meet their security requirement or meet their workload requirement, which may be unique. In that case, that's okay. They will go with AKS standard. But in most of these scenario, AKS automatic should be able to address the needs. And let's take a look at the cluster or the resource group, the surrogate resource group that is created, which handles um, which has all the uh, Kubernetes related resources and some of the things that I talk about. For example, let's say, it didn't ask us. about, okay, need to have a virtual network. No, it created it all by itself. And it didn't ask us about the NAT gateway. So remember, I said any egress that will happen through this NAT gateway. So so it has created a NAT gateway. So any egress from AKS, so let's say it has to call some other services, that will happen through this NAT gateway. And it has created the managed identities as well. So all of these managed identities along with AKS workload identity will work. So all of that, RBAC based authentication and all that will, um, I mean, that is done through them. Once again, no need to set those up. Okay. Um, so that's some of the things that it does, and all of that stuff is that you don't have to worry about anymore. It is doing the based on the recommended practices, it is doing that stuff. So for example, if we go in here, and no differences in application deployment, if you are deploying your application, it will be um, still be the same way, the way you have done it before. So let me go in here in the AKS cluster. Give me 1 second. And let's see what namespaces that we have created, what workloads are running. Um, so basically, what I did, I deployed a simple, application, and that application is a sample application. If you do the deployment from the sample, you can deploy that application, and you can use that. So here is this application that is running. And as you can see, this is the public IP address of the service. And I'm running this application here. So this is running as a Kubernetes app. So that there's no change there. You just take your application just the way you run it. You run it here, but just keep in mind that the operational overhead that you have of running those applications or maintaining AKS is much less because you don't have to worry about a number of things, a number of knobs to switch because they are already set based on the recommended practices in regards to security, networking, and node operation, all of that. Got it. So that's pretty much that I wanted to cover. Any questions at this moment? And as I said, AKS Automatic is in public preview, so please take a look at it. I have shared some resources in the end. There is an AKS Automatic session at Build, which happened recently. It talks about some of the customer experience who are already taking advantage of it, so you can look at it as well. Go through the deployment, just test it out. Just keep in mind when you enable the preview feature, it can take up to 10-20 minutes. In my case, it took almost like 10-15 minutes to enable those features. So just be patient there. Other than that, you have, there's a sample application that you deploy it, and it's no different. Just like you are running YAML, so you connect to the cluster the same way and all that. So that doesn't change. The only thing is, as I said again and again, your operational overhead or operational kind of effort will be much less since a number of things that you have to tweak and tune are now already done based on the recommended practices by Microsoft. So please take a look. So one final call. Any questions?
Uh, Naveed, this is Zaram Humayun. I have one question. Would you be sharing this document or the
Yeah, yeah,
presentation?
yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So if you go in here, if you just type in azurepowerlunch.com, That's the website, and there's a YouTube channel as well. So
Okay.
our videos goes over there, and link to presentation is in the video description. Okay. So
Wonderful.
if you don't,
Thank
yeah,
you.
so it's a PDF will be there. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions, folks? Okay. And if there are no other questions, I will give everybody their 3 minutes back and hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and great weekend. Hope to see everybody next week for another session of Azure Power Lunch. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naveed. Thanks.